Yeah, 7:30. Right. Yes. Just wait for that. Yeah, we know. Ah. One more coming along. Somebody just coming in? Yeah. Oh, we'll wait one moment. John, take a seat and then we'll... We saw you coming in, John, so we thought, just Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming along tonight, which is entitled the Hilton Parish Council Annual Parish Council Meeting, which is a meeting we have to have once a year ahead of the Annual Parish Meeting, which we have a date for. This meeting has various bits of governance in it, which is about who's on committees, what happens with committees. But the first thing on the agenda is that the chairman needs to be selected for the coming year. And agenda item 1 is to elect chairman and receive the chairman's declaration of acceptance of office. Okay, so everybody, this is where you say out, or I say I'm happy to do it again for a further year, if that's what everybody can agree with.
Have we had any other nominations?
We had no other interested parties, so Peter's...
Are you still interested?
Yeah, I'm quite happy.
Said that he would be interested in carrying on another year if everyone's in agreement.
That's happy to
propose that.
I would second it. Okay.
So you need a date. Right, you propose and accepted, and then you need to do.
So, all those in favour?
Thank you very
Can I
much.
just add a comment? It just seems to me timely to ask ourselves what we've achieved in our tenure to date.
Is that not better at the parish meeting, which is
well,
next?
I'm raising it now
Okay.
in the context of electing chairman,
Right.
and if we can take it into the parish.
Yeah,
So
at that
that's
parish
fine.
meeting,
That's
I give a summary of what we've done, as we did last year.
the other side of that is whether we ought to invite comments from people in the parish.
They can talk about anything that's on the agenda.
No, I mean
In the
to
3
ask
minutes.
people in the parish why, rather than just people who attend this meeting. I thought.
That everybody's invited to come to the parish meeting,
Which
and
is
we can put that.
on the, when is it, of May?
The 19th of May.
19th of May.
Okay.
That's the open meeting when.
Might be worth adding it to that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Thank you, Anne.
Okay.
So, having gone through that process, then yes, I'd be happy to accept the position, the office of chairman, for a further 12-month period, which would lead us up to the time when the councillors were elected in 2030. Need to make decisions as to whether they wish to put themselves forward to be on the council again. And then what happens. So thank you. Item 2 on the agenda is to receive any apologies for absence and declarations of interest. So apologies for absence we've received from Doreen and from Simon. And I believe you all are aware of the reasons why they're not here this evening. And I trust that those are acceptable to you.
Yes, and I have a pecuniary interest in the clerk's wages.
I haven't done that yet.
Head of yourself.
That was accepting apologies for absence.
Oh, there was a pause. Oh, sorry, Chair. Flowed straight.
Because what I wanted to do at that point was to say welcome to Andrew
Apologies.
for his first
Sorry.
parish council. I should have not done that under number 1. So welcome, Andrew. Look forward to working with you in the coming 12-month period. Okay, declarations of interest. Just over.
Thank you, Peter. I have a pecuniary interest in the clerk's salary. I also have a non-pecuniary interest in agenda item number 4, which is a closed session where you review and discuss the clerk's appraisal. So if you feel it's appropriate, I will step out while you have that discussion, not one part of the closed meeting.
Well, I think we'll go into the side room as we have in the past, so that we don't disturb everybody else in the room.
Okay.
We'll just sit down and discuss item 4. Thank you. Any other declarations of interest? No. Shall I say on behalf of myself, Kieran and Anne, we have an interest in item money. Yes. Item 9.1, payment of any bills,
Yeah.
which will be discussed when we come to that item. Any other interests in declarations of interest? No. Have you got that, Joe? Thank you. So, thank you very much. So we've done items 1 and 2 on the agenda. We now go to the open session. Usual score, 3 minutes. No more than 3 minutes on one item on the agenda, and no more than 10 minutes for the session. Okay. Anybody like to answer? Anne?
Yes, Peter, thanks. I'd like to make a comment on item 6.2, the A14 update. Obviously not sure what's going to be covered during that session, but I'd just like to say I've had a few conversations with Giles Parker, the sound consultant that wrote the last report, found him excellent, and would encourage, I guess, the Parish Council, if it's part of your thoughts, to engage him as a professional to help us with our A14 fight. I think we need all the help we can get. He's got huge experience, as I think you've probably had a discussion with you, and continues to have, and understands exactly all the nuances required from local planning and national planning. So that's just my comment, saying I'd encourage, if you could, to engage him.
As you'll hear in the working group, that we've met with Giles, and that will be reported on.
Yeah, it's just the encouragement to engage him as a consultant for the Parish Council and the village.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
That's okay. Anybody else? John, was hand up first. Beat you to it, Ken.
6.1, Mr. Chairman. I don't know what the outcome of the Cricket Club AGM was, but years ago I used to cut the cricket pitch for nothing for the village, and I don't know whether you still have the contractor to do the cricket pitch, but maybe I could help you if you're in a problem with it.
Thank you, John. We'll bear that in mind when we come to that. 6.1. So just checking the agenda item. Thank you, John. Ken.
I haven't got an agenda, so I don't know what number it is. Oh, 6.5. The temporary planning permission. No, sorry. For the beacon. After the last meeting, I did a lot of digging, a lot of contacting of people that we spoke to on the prior. What's it? And I've actually got a letter here from Deborah Parker-Seal, who is still a planning consultant with the council, and it's quite interesting what she says in that. If you don't mind, I will read it.
Yeah, please do.
It says the facts are parish councils have right to erect structures on parish-owned ground and maintained by them up to a height of 4 metres within certain application restrictions. So in theory, a beacon over 4 metres requires a planning application regardless. However, the planning service manager has stated it would not be expedient to request an application due to the temporary nature of the proposal. But if it was required for a longer period, then that would obviously require an application. When I found that, I thought, well, I better just check on it, which I've done, and I've been on the phone a lot today. And I've actually spoken to one of their planning men, who's told me he was a team leader. And he said that is still the case. If this council decided to put up the beacon for temporary erection, there would be no problem with the council at all, and you would not require even temporary planning permission. But what they would like is that you tell them that you're going to do it, and just inform them, and they would then have a record of the fact that you have told them, and that is basically all you would have to do. And you know, as I say, it's there. If you want a copy of it, you're very welcome. If you don't,
I will. When we come to this point on the agenda, you will probably hear something that will make you want to send that to us.
right. Well, it's also got another bit underneath, which is actually the law, Class A permitted development law.
So, yeah, like I say, when we get to that bit on the agenda, we'll want to send it to us afterwards.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, then thank you very much. We'll close the public session and we'll go back to the agenda item number 3, which is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 7th of April and the planning committee meeting held on the 17th of March, if the right people are here. Right, so you've had the minutes of the meeting of the 17th of 7th of April. We'll do the parish council meeting of the 7th of April first of all. Everybody happy with those?
I wasn't at the last meeting.
Very true. Good spots. Just glad to see you sharp on the ball. So, I'd like to propose that those minutes are accepted. Okay, and all those in favour? Thank you very much. And then the planning committee of the 17th of March?
Yeah, let's just check who's here. Myself, Kieran and Willie, and at that point we discussed the side and rear extension to Walnut Cottage from on Potton Road. So if you're happy, if you can remember that far back, 17th of March.
Yes.
One either goes and then second one, please. I'm in favour. Okay. Right.
Okay, item 4 on the agenda is closed session to discuss the clerk's appraisal. So if you'll excuse us for a moment, we will exit stage right and be back in a moment. You'll stay here?
Each person that you want for the extended investigation to the village was suggested, but to see how long the village thought better. Anyone who to turn up to the meeting. Did be consulted with
Not at all.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Hold it on. Item 4 is that so Graham and I undertook an appraisal on Jo and her, how she'd been feeling about the job and how she'd been doing, and that was a satisfactory appraisal. What we haven't been able to do, Jo, is work out salary, because there were some new pay bands issued in January, and we need to check what and where you should be. So we'll do that. That's all right. Like last year, we'll give you payment appropriate. So thank you very much on behalf of the Parish Council for the hard work you do. It is a difficult job, and I know the hours are tight. So item 5 on the agenda is to elect Vice Chairman and review committees and working groups. So, Graham is currently in the position of Vice Chairman, has been for the last couple of years.
Happy to stand, happy to sit.
Did you receive any?
No other candidates. Just Graham. Be happy to stand again.
A second.
Okay. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Right. So, and thank you, Graham, for your help and support over the last year. Again, working groups, there we go. Joe's produced essentially all out a nice list of the current subcommittees, working groups that the Parish Council has at the moment, which are the finance, and there are a couple of vacancies on a couple of the groups. This specifically as on the first one on the list, Finance and General Purposes Committee. Stephen was on this committee and has obviously moved out of the village, as we know, and is no longer a councillor. And I was wondering whether Andrew, given his background, would be interested in joining the Finance and General Purposes Committee. Yeah. I'd like to propose that. Just to make I don't know whether I have to or not.
Seconded.
Thank you. All those in favour? Right. Thank you. Planning Committee, Councillors Bowdell, Baliki, Dunk, Goodrich and Wilson. All happy to stay on that for the next year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Big enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll keep that one as it is then. Do I have to?
Haven't thought for any changes as is.
No.
Perhaps at the end we can do a mass vote if everything remains the same. Okay, we have A14 working group, which are councillors Barradell, Dunn, Goodrich, and there's an amendment to that because I'm on that as well. Patrick, Mark, and Richard Norton. So, yes, he's not on that list, but he is on that working group. Green Spaces Management Group, Councillors Bates, Dunk, Wilson, and Ian Stott. Correct. Fireworks Working Group, we have Doreen, Kieran, Stephen was on that, so he's no longer on that. Sharon Walker and Neil Sutherland. Obviously Sharon from the Feast Week and Neil from the Firework Group. Do you need to have a replacement for Stephen?
Yes, we do.
Any volunteers to join that group?
I'm happy to stand or sit. Mind, don't mind.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Graham. Easements, me, Kieran, Simon, Ian Stott and Julian Thomas. Happy for that to remain? Policy Advisory Group, this is policies and procedures, which is me, Kieran, Simon and Stephen White. So Stephen is no longer on that group, so we need ideally somebody to come on that group, please.
I'd be happy to do it.
Thank you, Anne. Hilton Common Joint Consultative Working Group.
Never met.
What is that?
I don't know. But I'll stay on it.
That's me, Willie and Simon.
Doesn't swing me, I'm afraid.
I believe that this,
We
if
just
my
have a
memory
meeting.
serves me right, it was a group that was in place when we were elected, and we kept it going,
Yeah.
which is to liaise with the common right holders
Yeah.
as necessary. It hasn't been necessary. Media Working Group is Kieran and myself.
Just do it.
Should
Yeah.
be, really.
I think it is at Justo.
Yeah.
CFT work. Oh, I know. This was the Cambridge Field Transport,
Yeah,
wasn't
that can just stay
Yeah.
on. It's all done.
it? Is that done now?
Yeah.
And that was Anne, Kieran, and Justo. So you don't think that one's needed anymore? Okay.
No, nothing else we can do about that, I'm afraid. So we have a new scheme.
Village Volunteering Initiatives, which is the new one that you set up recently, which was Justo, Anne, and Simon. And we've got an update coming from you on that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the newest was the Pavilion Working Group, which was Kieran, Willie, Graham, and Sharon Walker. Yeah. Right. So, are you all happy with the groups as they are? We've knocked out the CFT working group. The Hilton Common Joint Consultative Working Group will revisit that one over the next month, see if there's any need. But I think it needs to be in place at the moment. If you're all happy with that, then I would suggest we just do a bulk.
Yeah,
Yeah?
Yeah.
I propose that those are the groups going forward.
second.
All those in favour? Great, thank you. And then there are other
Village groups.
village groups. So tree warden, Ian Stott, assisted by Angela Potter.
I see no reason.
Yeah,
no reason why you wouldn't continue.
Parish Paths Partnership, William Graham.
Is he
The partnership in Paths.
It needs to be there in case we get
Yeah.
some grants or whatever.
Okay. Hilton Action on Traffic, that says Justo and Simon.
That's all the news, isn't it?
Yeah, I think.
That's
Yes,
right.
oh no, that's right, because yes,
Yeah.
you handed it over to Ken, didn't you? That was St Ives Road Safety Committee, I think that's you though, isn't it?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
still is,
Yeah,
yeah.
not me.
Meeting next
She's
Tuesday.
taking them off that way.
Yeah.
Good.
Justo kindly goes to that. Village Hall Management Committee, Doreen's on that, representing the Parish Council.
Mm-hmm.
Emergency Officer is Doreen, with deputies Ken, Ian Stott and Andy Bush. And Neighbourhood Watch is Ken, Harris and Doreen. And Town Trust, the two Parish Council or Parish Council supported.
Parishioners represented by the parish.
Liz Bush and Brian Ward. And I think that last year's meeting was coming later in the month, we discussed, and those good people said for
4 years.
4 years. And Brian was voted back on last year, and Liz would come up for renewal next year. Anything else? Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the working groups, and just with those amendments, Joe, you can attach that to the minutes of the meeting, that would be good. Thank you, and stick them on the website as well.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, of course.
Thank you. So item 6 is matters arising or carried forward from the last meeting for discussion and decision. And that was, so 6.1, which is green management open spaces to clarify the Merlin cricket pitch following the cricket club AGM. Did you hear back, Joe?
Do you speak to?
Yes.
Oh, please update.
So just to remind you, the normal annual contract we had with Rodney, we are 2 months into that, but we haven't committed to it. We've just committed to 2 months of April and May. The reason we did that was because the cricket club AGM was pending, and Anna was a bit unsure as to whether the cricket ground would be needed for the rest of the year. As it happens, there is now a schedule of fixtures, so yes, it does, and therefore we should propose that we continue with Rodney for the rest of the year.
Yes.
Same conditions as last year. I don't think there's any increase in wages. He has a particular mower that he uses for this, and if we don't need him to do this, then he will sell it. So, it's not like it got to my head, but it just takes up a lot of room in his barn.
But having said that, I think
It's not a reason for doing that though, is it?
Sorry?
It's not a reason for continuing. It's just-
No, but if we are, what I'm saying is that if we decide not to do this, then there probably isn't a way back
We'll get
with that
facility.
particular apparatus.
But I think also it's not just cricket club, is it? That the outfield gets used for all sorts of other things. So even if cricket wasn't played, I'd still be voting for the grass to be cut. That bit of grass to be cut. It's quite an amenity that.
That's fair.
But as the cricket can still play, and we don't need to get into that one.
Yes, yes.
And are we in the third year of the contract for the maintenance of the green?
We are.
Yeah, so all that.
Started April to April.
Yeah. So everything's, we could renew everything as part of.
Yes, we're going to have to do that.
Yeah. So that comes forward to the council for looking at later in the year, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Good. eh? Thank you. Anything else on that one, Kieran?
Nothing else to report on the green open spaces. There's some repair work being planned planned for the football pitch. That's the only thing next weekend. And that's it.
Very good.
Do we need to actually have a proposal on Rodney's?
That's probably a very good idea.
I'll second it.
And all those in favour of continuing with Rodney for this season? It goes through to... And will you...
Let
Right. Item 6.2, which is A14, updating working groups, including advice from town expert.
Okay. Everybody that registered as an interested party has probably in the village has received a letter. The Parish Council has also received theirs from the Planning Inspectorate. It informs us that there'll be a preliminary meeting on Wednesday the 30th of May, and Peter is going to speak at that on behalf of the Parish Council. That's at the Commemoration Hall, High Street, Huntingdon. The work group has been working on a quite substantial document, 6,000 words altogether, as our written representation, which also in that letter it informs us that's got to be in by the 15th of June. And that draft has been put on the website. Thank you, Justo, for that. It is a draft, but it's pretty close. So we've decided not to submit it just yet. We'll wait until we get through the other side of this preliminary meeting and wait for parishioners to come back with other comments if they, it gives them a window of time to do that before we submit it. We also have a meeting planned, and I don't think we've got a date yet, have we? It's 13th or 15th.
It hasn't been confirmed. It'll either be 13th or 15th.
July. This is the Planning Inspectorate. I think what's happened here is they've identified Hilton as a hotspot and have made us a issue-specific case. So that means this is not a preliminary meeting, it's another classic meeting where they'll come and talk to us and hear our views. And although we are trying to seek clarity on what the format and the objective of the preliminary meeting and this other meeting, because there's been an awful lot of people there, and we're not quite sure what we can achieve in these meetings other than to hear where they are at the moment.
That one, July one will be here, will it?
At the Village Hall, yes. Yeah. So that's the same date. If it is the 15th, that's the same date as the
13th.
oh,
If it's the 13th, it'll be the same day as the one Peter attends.
yes.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
July.
Oh, we're talking about July one, sorry. I thought we were talking about the May one, sorry.
As Peter indicated earlier, we did meet with Giles Parker, who's the sound expert. We actually engaged his services for a preliminary meeting, so we were paying him for some advice. We got quite a bit of information out of that. The reason we did it that way was we just wanted to see where the possibilities were of putting together a more structured argument in respect of sound and the mitigation of the road. The interesting thing that we did find out is that actually there is no real legislation in national legislation or European legislation which governs the impact of sound on a village like this, because we're not within a 300-metre corridor. So we've got to, so that was very useful. So we're going to take stock from the preliminary meeting and work out a strategy after that. So we've not made any commitment to Giles going forward, although we do have quite a detailed document from him to outline what the possible next steps could be. The rest of the examination authority timetable, as it plays through the next 6 months, that's now on the website as well.
It's contained in the letter from the
Yes,
Premier.
that's right.
And in that, are we including, I think we talked about encouraging people to put in their own personal submissions, their own personal papers in time. So if you've registered, you can add information. So we need to encourage people to do that.
I think the first bit we encourage people to do is to attend the preliminary meeting
Yeah.
if they can,
Which is during the day, isn't it?
which is they have to register by the 6th of May to do so. Is that correct? 6th of May? Yeah.
Attendees, isn't it? There's a proposed attendees, isn't it?
And we're trying to seek clarification from the planning inspector if the meeting that they'd have in Hilton would again be restricted to those people who have registered an interest, or whether it would be individual.
Yeah.
That's what I think, the latter.
Fair to say?
So
That's fair to say.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless anybody else from the work group can add anything to that.
Sterling contributions from
I mean, Richard's done a fantastic job with the
Richard Norton,
Yeah.
yes, and as Mark.
Yes.
We've got quite a substantial document, so I urge you all to read it. It'll keep you going for a few hours.
Thanks to everybody in the working group for the hard work they put into that, because it's a huge submission, 6,900 documents. From a highways agency too.
That's important.
And for, yes, so it's taken a lot of hard work and dedication. Right, okay, that's A14 update. 6.3 is large pothole in an effective drain on road to cul-de-sac between Prince of Wales and the shop. Further information regarding responsibility. So Joe, you have contacted Huntingdon District Council and Cambridgeshire County Council
Yeah.
on this matter.
I have. And unfortunately, neither of them have adopted this road, so Cambridge County Council suggested, actually I can't remember if it was Cambridge or Huntingdon, suggested that the residents in Home Farm Close actually look at their deeds, because that should clear up who's responsible, whether it's themselves or the people that built the houses. There should be something in their deeds that makes that clear.
Would that put us in the same boat as those households that had the overgrowing
Mm.
into the pond? All we can do is encourage and urge them to be civic-minded and repair it, because it's a trip hazard for parishioners. But
But that's
Can't
going to be
enforce it.
expensive sorting as well.
Yeah.
The pothole's been
Very
mended.
expensive.
if the drain
But
problem,
no, but if it's the
Yeah.
drain, I think there's a segue or something,
Right.
rather than link to the drain.
It's
Could be
being done.
The
thousand.
pothole's been
pot-
done,
the
that's
pot-
the
pot-
problem with
Yeah,
the
but-
problem with the drains apparently still there.
The drain,
I've looked at the deeds and the access road belongs to 5 Home Farm Close, and their ownership stops short of where the drains are. There's a line which follows the wall of the path, and if you sort of run the wall of the path, it goes straight along past the same past the shop, and it gets the next house. And those drains are not on the property that belong to Home Farm Close. There's nothing to do with them.
That's interesting.
It seems to me to be clearly on county council land.
Unless
Some years ago, and I can't remember why, I got from the county council a map of what they thought they owned in the village. I no longer got it. I think it's it's been unrealistic anyway, and I can't remember what it said about that particular part. But I think that land which kind of hasn't got any other owners belongs to the county council. And it's on I think highways have verges, and the county council own or at least have control over them. And that is where those drains are. I can let you have those deeds, and you can send them to the county council and so that
Yeah.
it's on your land.
It's on my list.
Please deal with it. I mean, everybody will always initially say it's like doing that. Honestly, I think that what I've got is pretty much evidence of it. So I'll give those to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so then we propose that Joe gets these deeds from Andrew, flies back to CCC.
With copies.
Sorry?
With copies.
Copies to
CCC.
rights to CCC.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with copies
Of the
Of the-
deed.
of the deeds, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, sorry.
And see what comes back.
Okay.
Can I ask you also let Mr. Bond know that this
Yes.
may be progressing a bit further rather than keep it there? as
Yeah.
Really, there's not much more we can do other than.
It's been a topic for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, let's try and fix it.
Try and find out who's responsible for fixing it. Yes. Right, item, everybody happy with that item? Thank you very much. So item 6.4, local plan. I'm just going to make a comment about the local plan. At our last meeting, a query was raised by Ian Bates that we had not, as Parish Council, undertaken a public consultation on the Huntingdon local plan to 2036. Now, we didn't have the information with us at the time, so I've looked it up because we were fairly certain that the consultation that had just happened between January and March was not a public consultation. So there is a local timetable, or a local plan timetable, which was contained in the presentation that I sent you, which says that the full draft local plan consultation, full public engagement, was between May and July 2013. The local plan timetable present, which is the targeted consultation to amend draft local plan of town and parish councillors as key stakeholders, was January to March 2015, and it says in there that this is not a full public consultation.
But I thought they did reference parish councils.
They reference parish councils, which Graham went to on our behalf, but as it says on their targeted consultation overview, it is not a full public consultation. Full public consultation should have taken place between May and July 2013. Okay? I wouldn't like to say that Ian was chairman of the parish council at that time. I'll leave it at that.
Yep. I should say thank you for that, because as the rep that went to that seminar, it was council was acting on my advice, so I didn't think I got it that wrong. So yeah, thank you.
Which leads us on to item 6.5. We have, and Ken will be interested to know this, the email we have from Huntingdon Planning Office says...
Sorry, Peter, could you tell me the date on that?
This was Wednesday the 29th of April. You will need planning permission for a permanent or temporary erection of the beacon.
And who's
So
that
that's-
signed by?
That
It's
is
confusing.
Linda Walker, Development Manager, Officer, Corporate Delivery, Huntingdon District Council.
I'll give you this one now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, as I said, when you heard us get on that, you will want to have your email.
That's from Deborah Parker's seal. That's the lady that has been dealing with it all along.
It does seem to me that we're getting very confusing information.
Yeah, because the only written information that the parish council has is from the planning department is you will need planning permission for a permanent or temporary erection of the beacon. Okay, and that's obviously
You've
a
now
parish
got
council.
you've now got the opposite view.
It's rubbish, it's rubbish.
So we'll need to go and
Who the
group
person is, I don't know, but I really do think you can for 14 days.
But now we've got this other information, which will go back and
I did speak to the lady that's emailed that information
Yes.
as well, telling her what the proposed plan was, and that's the email that she came back with.
Make a quick comment. Deborah,
we'll take a comment.
Deborah actually, there's another email, there's a whole trail of these, of course, going back to that 2012 said up to 4 months was their timescale for temporary, and then after that you'd need to seek permanent permission. But
That's not what I was told.
So that-
no, I know.
Yeah.
So you said
That's
that
the
you're getting
trouble,
lots
isn't it, Andy?
of. It
Because
is.
we, as a parish council, the only piece of correspondence we have from Huntingdon District Council is you will need planning permission for a permanent or temporary erection of the beacon.
And they don't know what they're talking about. Then obviously, because he told me totally different.
Yeah.
I know,
4
it's
o'clock this
totally
afternoon, he told me
confusing.
something totally different.
Because we've had 4
I did
different,
start comment.
4 different
So we've
points of
had
view.
comment.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Can we not just make an executive decision and take the consequences?
No.
I'm not prepared to act outside of the written instructions that we have from Huntingdon District Council. We will go back to Huntingdon District
Yeah,
Council
who's right?
to seek clarification, because we don't know who's right, do we?
Yeah.
The only information we have as a parish council says we cannot, that you will need planning permission for a permanent or temporary erection of the beacon.
What's the name?
Sorry, Peter, can I just write down that lady's name? I am
Yeah,
sorry.
of course.
Linda Walker.
Linda Walker.
Okay. So we'll ask Joe to go back and
We're going to make any use of such right. I mean, she's already pestered her once. I've got something anti-mocker here. Is it really?
Well, I think
What do you
so,
get
only because
Yeah.
we have to follow a set of instructions. And we received at least 3 or 4 at the last count.
we haven't. We've received one. We've received one instruction which says you will need planning permission for a permanent or temporary erection of the beacon.
Okay. So we
Yeah.
physically received one, but
Mm.
we've got Ian Bates
Yeah,
suggesting
it's
it's one way
written.
or another. We've got a parishioner who's had a conversation and an email suggesting something again. I think it's worth that, not a shot just about, just to wake up the department a little bit and say, look, please be consistent in your communication. Because
I don't mind taking it on.
If
Well, I'm
somebody,
quite happy to.
Joe,
Come to
can do
you.
So,
it. Has to come from Joe.
I don't think that would be a nuisance. I think it's fair to say
it's quite
it's a
realistic.
bit embarrassing you can't seem to get your story straight.
Yeah, I think we should get uncertain.
Yeah.
They can compare all the advice.
It's bound to come up again, but there'll be other celebrations that come up and
Is that an email?
We'll come up
Yes.
with it.
we should
Where
know what
was
it's
it
about.
from?
No, it's an email. An email from.
Okay.
So it's not word of mouth.
No, are they?
Maybe it's worth saying that if it does come up again, that we have good time to actually approach the district
Yeah.
council properly and say, do we need planning permission? If so, this is the event, this is how long it's going to be there for, we actually have specifics. It's too late to do anything for this current occasion, which is next week. But if we do it properly with the proper lead time,
Yeah.
that we can go through the proper channels.
If we have, as Andrew suggests, an unequivocal answer, then we'll have that in the minutes. We can always refer back to it if the
Exactly.
parishioner brings it up again 6 months from now, a year from now, whenever we stand.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Great. Yeah.
There would have been something.
We're going to ask Joe to go back
Talk
to
to
the
them.
Huntingdon District Council and ask them for clarification over the mixed messages that are coming out of the plan.
I'm going to wait till I send this to you as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got some more evidence, it's all right.
Yeah, because it is all hodgepodge. And it would be unfair for anybody to have to make a decision outside of what
Yeah, no, great.
the parish council has
Yeah, no,
from the planning side.
that's right.
Okay. Do you have to do that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Item 7, which is committee working groups and members' items. 7.1 is PC goalposts, options to use or dispose of old goalposts, discussion only. Graham, I believe.
Yeah, so when we were, you okay?
Yeah, I found it.
When I was, when we were looking behind the pavilion as part of the working group, the old goalposts are still there. I think they were taken down sometime about 2009, following a health and safety incident, not here but elsewhere, where some posts I think fell over and badly injured somebody, and those posts are very heavy. So they were taken down in favour of smaller, lighter ones, and they've been behind the pavilion ever since. So it's just a question that we need to be aware they're still there. It was brought to my attention when I drove through Patworth, and Ford Lane had some rather what's the word? Their goalposts aren't as good as ours, and I wonder whether they might like ours. Which kind of got me thinking: do we keep them? Do we sell them? Dispose of them? Scrap? Whatever. But I can see little point in them staying behind the pavilion. But I'm keen for it to be done at a slow pace in case someone suddenly comes forward and says, I loaned those to the Parish Council 30 years ago and they're mine. So it needs to be out there in the public domain, that they are there and that we are thinking about what to do with them. I would estimate that scrap value is only going to be about £20 or £25. That's just based on the last time I carried them. They are very heavy. Steel isn't worth an awful lot.
Ownership aside then, ownership aside,
Yep.
might be an idea to perhaps contact Nadine, or have some contacts within football, and see if there's any teams locally that have got poor quality posts that, better to donate. As a nice little gesture to a local team that makes good use out of them rather than...
Fire collects.
Fire collects, absolutely.
Yes, as long as you make sure that they're not
Sold
certified,
as seen.
because they are quite old, so yeah. But I said I was also going to suggest you contact Packworth as well.
Yeah.
So is that okay with you?
Yeah.
It's a starting point. We're not actually agreeing to anything, are we?
No. Just see if there's anybody who has an interest in.
Yeah. Just a slow pace. Thank you.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah, starting point, yeah.
Thank you. Item 7.2, volunteer group update and play park maintenance request. Okay, so I'm not sure, are you giving the update, Justin, or is that?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Well, there's 2 points being covered here. One's just an update on the volunteer group, and the other one's about the ongoing issue that we're already aware of about play park maintenance. So I don't know if you want to cover off your idea on that.
What first?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then
Well, this is the time of year when things start growing, and when I have been in the play park, I have been approached by people who walk past and say, well, they're willing to help, and so the opportunity to sort of get people in on a sort of casual basis. I was sort of suggesting that there were weekly tasks that could be done, no problems, attend to small problems, litter removal, sweeping the tiles on a weekly basis, and then clean the equipment if for some reason it's got dirty, as it sometimes does.
Yeah.
The more people we have on a rota, then that could be just down to once a week, every 4 weeks, somebody maybe 6, 8 weeks, depending on how many people are interested in doing that. And then that group of people would be around, hopefully, to be involved with the more strenuous working parties that we seem to need, maybe once in spring, to get rid of all the extra vegetation that comes through the fence. And I would think probably 2 or 3 times in the autumn to get rid of all the leaves, because it's obviously the leaves that don't help our situation with regards to the moths. The general thought is that if we can keep it away, hopefully it'll be less trouble when it comes to cleaning the tiles up, which is a bit of a bad job. So it's a question of sort of prevention rather than cure or whatever. We have removed a few trees, so I'm hoping that there'll be less stuff growing in there, and that's the theory. So it's just a question of whether you're happy that is a starting point that we go. Because people have said they're willing to help, but on that particular action.
Yeah,
we both agreed if we were to target, we'll be there in a second then, John, thank you. I think we should target people that we know, perhaps people who have expressed an interest in this, plus whomever from the council would be interested in playing a role, because that'll be more expedient, won't it? If we wait for the volunteer group to gather some pace and actually get some direction, then that will miss this window that we need. John may be putting us out to answer this question. I wasn't sure how much of keeping the vegetation back and under control was part of that contract or not.
I do the play area once a month.
Right.
Now, I don't know if any of you have looked at it in the past 72 hours.
Yeah, it's been cut.
Right, it's all been cut, it's all been blown off and everything, so it is tight. But I do it once a month. If you want it doing more regularly than that, I will do it more regularly than that. With the weather we've had, the tiles were not slippery. They're not slippery at the moment.
Okay.
Now that is probably because of the trees have been taken down, which is allowing more air into the area. And also making the vegetation grow quicker.
Yeah, I think that's good. Thank you, John. Let's go back to the agenda point now.
Yes, John. Okay, so thanks for that. So, well, should we just find something with an action taken forward, so it's not lost?
Yeah, unless you put it in spectrum, yes. See what sort of response you get on a specific item.
Have you agreed to do it as part of your group?
Well, I think the volunteer group that's really only just gathering some steam now, I think that will probably be too far off to actually identify people then for that specific task. So I think we should do both. I think we should put something in spectrum by all means, being a catchment area, but we should probably think about people we know already, that
Get the ball rolling first.
people that have approached and say, we need perhaps a dozen people that can be called upon to sweep leaves when they need to, or clear some litter out in the in-between times.
And you can work in conjunction with John.
Yes.
Just somebody to organise it.
Seems a good task for How is your volunteering group? Have you approached anybody yet?
Yes, well, that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes. So, do you want to put my name forward then?
Number one volunteer.
Number one volunteer / coordinator. And then what I'll do is I'll sort of pick Anne, Graham, Kieran, anyone who may have some people who approach them and say, I'd be happy to help. And then we'll get at least a call of hopefully a dozen people who are interested in at least once in a couple of weeks doing something to be defined, and then we'll make sure that we coordinate with you, John, that whether we need any more cuts or not. We'll see how it goes.
Sounds a plan.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Anne and I met a few weeks ago and agreed on gathering some sort of email addresses and the kind of groups that we should approach, and then drafted out a very sort of basic email that basically just invites people to at least consider being part of this volunteer group, but rather than being prescriptive and saying these are all the subcategories and you must fit into this box or that box and give us so much of your time or not, we've pitched it in a way that says if you express an interest, and the emails have just gone out today, and I'll give you a little whistle stop of some of the groups that were approached, some of those represented today, thank you. We'll invite them to a meeting here at the Village Hall, and use it as an open session to say, well, what should volunteering look like in the village? What has come up perennially? What would people have an appetite to do? Some people have a skill set that perhaps will lend itself to certain activity, or specialism that will lend itself to certain activity. And I think what will come out of that is probably those subgroups that we've talked about, and maybe attach those subgroups some names. So then if something comes up like the ivy cutting that's coming up, if some people on that group have expressed an interest in supporting the green space management subcommittee, then we'll be able to say those 3 email addresses, put them in contact with you, and perhaps they help out at a time that is suitable for that.
So trying to stimulate supply and demand.
Yes.
And you can match people.
Job centre.
Yeah, it's matchmaking.
Yes. And as a group, when we set the working group
Yeah.
up, that the tasks of the working group, tasks of the volunteer force would be as agreed by the parish council before work was undertaken, to ensure that there was no questions around insurance liability.
Yeah, well, I mean, before we take it any further, the outcome of that kick-off meeting, for want of a better term, will be fed back to the parish council, so that if you're happy in the broader sense with those sub-teams, or you want to call them, or the activities at least, and then you're right, some of those will be highlighted and marked as activities that have to be cleared first, for not least liability reasons, but also so we're not duplicating effort. If you guys are already doing something in a certain area, we don't want to be doing that twice.
No.
So I mean, it went out today, funnily enough, to Women's Institute, went out to Hat, went out to Andy, went out to both Katie and River Busk, went out to Kate Middleton, not the at all. I hate sorry, Cambridge, I hasten to add, no. You're rather busy at the moment, you can imagine. But also went out, so people who look after park, that's sort of for younger volunteers. Well, it's on the website, so I put a feeler out there. If they come back and say it's no longer active, then I'll take them off the list. Also went out to the toddler group, it went out to Katie Dunn, it went out to the Village Hall, it went out to Leslie as well, Andy I mentioned already. So we covered quite a few. I'm sure that list isn't exhaustive, comprehensive. So I did put a note towards the end of that email saying, look, if you know other people who are interested in this, we'll out to the produce as well, for instance, if you know other people that will be interested in this kind of volunteering, please forward on this email to them, and we'll see how many expressions of interest we get back. And then we'll feedback hopefully at the next parish council. That's the plan, try and get them in this month for a meeting, and then get them in for an update to June. Yeah, June, yes.
June.
Yes.
Thank you, Justo. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Justo and Anne. Thank you. So item 7.3 on the agenda is policy group update, screen management document. We didn't quite finish this off last month. Still some debate. So this, so the Hilton Green Spaces Management Policy document was produced by the Green Spaces group last year.
No, 2013.
2013. And as with all the policies that went through its annual review by the Policies Working Group recently, and amendments were made to it because there was comment in the previous document of the map which had been removed, and there was a request made to the Parish Council to give a clause regarding use of the green.
Yeah.
Well, I sent that to you tonight, and you've sent that out to everybody. Yeah.
My comment on it.
So that's the idea being is that this comes to the Parish Council now to be agreed for adoption or query. And you have questions.
Okay, yes, I kind of don't understand it in the sense that it seems to be saying two slightly different things, and hence, on one hand, it's therefore open to interpretation, which is very helpful, or secondly, I feel like we just get confused. So, for example, it's saying activities to the general benefit of Hilton residents.
What number is this?
Oh, sorry, paragraph 4.22.
This is the.
Yep.
So it's about activities permissible on the green. Sorry,
Yeah, it was sent out.
This section here. So activities for the general benefit of Hilton residents only. Fine.
Yeah.
The bit I don't understand is no scheme for individual stroke group benefit of profit will be considered. And then it says all schemes will be judged on their merit with this central guideline in mind. So if it's for the general benefit of Hilton residents, I can't really understand how the individual group benefit of profit doesn't apply. Profit I can kind of understand, but benefit, if it's the benefit of residents, it's for the benefit of residents, full stop, whether it's individual group or something else. So,
not as residents, as individuals, or as a profit-making group. So in other words, what we're saying is that the if an activity is being done altruistically for the benefit of the residents of Hilton, then that would qualify. What we're trying to screen out is for organisations or individuals who are doing it for their own personal benefit or for the benefit of that group, whether it's a Hilton group or not, and that's where we don't see it.
Okay, I can. It maybe just depends on how you define benefit, because if I'm really cynical, I could read that as saying, unless the entire parish agrees to something happening with the Green, then any subset is a group. So
let's take Fee Street, for example. Feast Week is a voluntary organisation.
Yeah.
It's done for the benefit of the village. So that's the spirit of it, if you like. What isn't for the benefit of the village, if somebody wants to have their wedding on the green, that's for their benefit as an individual.
Okay.
It's capable of being for the general.
It is actually.
Not everybody has to make use of it, but they're capable of making use of it.
I mean, I think I understand what you're saying. My sense is that the wording doesn't really help. And I'm saying that aware that I'm not offering anything alternative. But it just seems to me to be contradictory.
No, that's why we put it out there, because...
Yeah. No,
So-
so I'm just giving you my thoughts. It doesn't
So
quite
what I'd
appeal
like,
to me.
well, what might be useful is if the spirit of what this is trying to say is what we all agree, then let's try and find another formal words that defines it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without it becoming 2 pages.
Yeah.
Would it be useful to cite the example that you gave?
Just checking.
Maybe, yeah.
Because, I mean, sitting here, that's quite a nice example where, yeah, I think
Shouldn't
it's...
we just get rid of the second sentence?
All right. So rather than...
Just say activities for the general benefit of Hilton residents only, and then all schemes will be judged on merits.
Doesn't, yeah.
Does that not follow?
Qualifying scheme.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to tricky, but my sense is then the rates about what benefit is. So, I'm sorry, I don't want to be...
Then that's getting...
No, that's fine. That's why it's out here, just to try and get...
challenging it, several directions.
So we'd like to... what do you reckon?
Well, I don't think we're going to solve it here. I
No,
think
we're
what,
not.
if I could ask anybody who feels they could define this, to let me have their best shot, and let's see if we can reword this in a way that defines what it is I think we're all trying to say
Yeah.
about this.
And we'll discuss it further.
Yeah.
Next meeting. That comes under the policies working group, and which is now a member of.
Exactly. There you go.
Joe, could you send me a
Right.
copy of that,
Yeah.
or we can send a ready to
It should have already come to you, but I'll double check.
I haven't got it, maybe.
Maybe I accidentally
No,
did
no,
all
wait,
the
wait,
email. I'll check, and if I haven't sent it, I'll...
Thank you. Is that okay, Kieran?
Yeah.
Yeah? And we'll try and bring it back to the next meeting if we've got some comments to the working group before, to be able to form set words. Yeah.
So this is still within the policy group.
Yes.
Which is now on.
Yes.
Can I just
Simon.
yourself? So we'll come up with formal words. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll come back to that. We'll bring that back to another meeting. 7.4, Rural Housing Exception Scheme. Information regarding requests for a scheme to be considered. So there is knocking around, has been since we were told following the election in 2013. Councillor Bates stood up and told us there were 3 schemes being considered under rural exception housing, and
No.
okay.
It's not. No. Do you want to go into that?
No. If for the
It's
same-
what he said.
What they said was, sorry. I think what he said was that the Huntingdon District Council had been offered 3 patches of land by landowners to be considered for potential development, not necessarily under the rural
Okay.
exception scheme.
Yeah. One of which was under the rural exception scheme.
One of which has subsequently become
Potential.
None of them was mentioned as a rural. They were all put forward as big development possibilities,
Yeah.
which weren't in the local plan, and still aren't in the local plan.
No, they're not in the local plan.
This issue is a separate thing, isn't it? It's rural exception policy.
Yes. And so we have been, we are seeking clarification from Huntingdon District Council, Planning Department, I guess, about what they're on about. Whether there would be any effect on any schemes like this should the Conservatives be re-elected and hold their manifesto pledge to to extend the right to buy to housing associations? That was one question.
Actually, got some questions back on that.
Yes.
Basically, one of
Yeah,
those is
one of those, yeah. If there was a survey, I understand that part of the rural exception scheme there has to be a survey, or there should be a survey, and we've asked what that cost implication is and who would pay for it. As I'm off. And we're waiting for comeback, but we wanted parishioners to be aware that there is a potential scheme for rural housing exception, or property under rural housing exception being proposed, but we haven't had a full proposal yet. Would that be fair?
Yes, I think just to clarify on the other part, pieces of land, those pieces of land have been offered for potential development, but the new planning guidelines for state subject to 2035 have pretty much ruled those out. The rural exception scheme is a piece of planning legislation, I guess, which steps outside of all other planning considerations. So you've got the central plank of the planning guidelines, which will take us through to 2035, and then you've got this bit that sits outside it.
Yeah.
Under the central bit of planning, none of the three schemes will get approval, but under this one, potentially we could. But as you say, we need to have a survey first to identify need.
And it's about affordable housing.
It's about providing affordable housing for local Hilton people.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to make sure that it was on the agenda, that people were aware, and we'll update as if there are any further developments.
So presumably if we reference that on the website, if there is someone in Hilton who would be interested, it would help supplement our knowledge, let's say, to know if there's anybody in Hilton who would put their hands up for it.
Well, that's the purpose of this.
Yeah, it has to be done by survey. So, so others do the survey, yes. Yes.
So you have to pay somebody to do
Yes,
something.
we are told that anything that we did wouldn't be counted. So it has to be done officially by an official survey.
Oh, yeah.
That survey must be paid for by the district council.
It's probably,
Otherwise,
it's probably,
otherwise we could fix it, couldn't we?
Well, that's the question we've asked.
last time we dealt with them, there was a cost that would hit the parish council.
Yeah.
Probably not the whole cost, but there would be a cost coming to the parish council's way if the survey went ahead.
So we've asked, and we are waiting. So we will bring that back to future meetings as there are any developments. Okay. I think that covers that one. Thank you. Item 8 is consider any correspondence, communications requiring decision or action or any other agenda items. 8.1 is Community Chest Fund, May 2015 Hilton Village Handbook. So we had put in a request for £500 to assist with republishing the Hilton Village Handbook last year, and it was rejected. Shortly after the last Parish Council meeting, we received notification of the new Community Chest Fund with a closing date before this Parish Council meeting. So, suggest...
Quite right,
Isn't it?
It's the 11th of May.
Is it?
Yeah, so, but it's very, not very short.
So, a 4th?
11th of May.
Yeah.
I don't have to say what I was going to say. So, then what we're going to say is that I'd like Joe to reapply for funds under that scheme to try and get the Hilton Village Handbook paid for by the Community Chest Fund.
Did they give reasons as to the rejection last? Yeah.
No, I don't get anything back.
That's helpful, isn't it?
Successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just such a small window that it was, the handbook
Yeah.
seemed.
Well, we did discuss it before, didn't we?
Yeah.
A possible thing we might ask for 500 quid for. So I don't think we really came up with anything viable then.
No, the Village Handbook was what we proposed last time. I think the window to time was quite short. We were going to just suggest putting that proposal back in again.
Yeah, I see Joe's got some updated prices.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes.
Does it, I presume it's something that opens up every year, does it?
Yes.
So should we have it on a kind of rolling agenda item Christmas or something to give us time to think about if it comes up again.
That's a good idea, because otherwise...
Then we'll be prepared.
Yes. You can always approach the council before Christmas to see if they're going to be doing it.
Yeah.
Well, it needn't always be the home patrol, can it?
No, absolutely. But because it was so short, we thought
Yeah,
it
it was
that's why
a
we
relatively
did that
simple
again.
thing to arrange, wasn't it?
if we came to the meeting saying what would you like to do, there wouldn't be time to put anything in place for.
It's quite huge, isn't it?
So if you're happy with that, Joe's got some information.
Application forms.
She's got the application forms. So I propose that as a parish council, we apply to a community chest fund
Yep.
for a grant to
Second that.
help pay for the
Ahead of yourself.
yes, to fund the Hilton Village Handbook.
Now I'll second it.
Thank you very much. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Good. Right, 8.2 is request to use the area near the maze where the Feast Week marquee is usually sited on the 6th of June for the summer fete. So last month we were asked whether we would agree to Feast Week using a bit of land at that side of the village hall
Yeah.
for a summer fete we're proposing to hold on the 6th of June. And then Sharon sent in an email saying they'd like to use the green over there where the marquee is usually sited, or in that area, because they wish to put some stalls up, yeah? Is that correct?
Yeah, just email. Yes, I think they've offered stalls to other groups and committees, so Scouts, the Church, Women's Institute, Village Hall Committee, etc. To do sort of tabletop sales.
Ah, so they could get
They
do
can
some
set up their
fundraising as
stalls.
well.
Mm.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So I would propose that we agree to that.
Do we need to let local residents know? Can we do that?
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah, that's,
And maybe
Sorry?
yeah, I was going to say from last time it's.
last time the
informal,
action was to collect the common rights holders.
Yeah.
The other thing is cricket, isn't it? In case of cricket match. You want to Alan saying that.
Okay.
I think I see an event advertised on the 20th of June. Does that involve the parish council owning land? I can't remember this on the website. And they can rather organised by the people of the village hall.
Open orders?
20th of June. Never got it wrong. Okay, forget it.
Well, not for Feast Week, it might be something.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't know, Andrew. There is a scarecrow event.
Is that the 20th of June?
Open garden. I don't know the date. It is the 20th of June, I know, yes, it's on the way.
No. Does that involve any of the, presume that doesn't involve the...
Don't know. Is the
That's
answer to
not a
that
car
question. So, where were we? I propose that we agree to that. Request by Feast Week. All those in favour? Lovely, with the usual caveat of writing to.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good. Next, item 9, which is to consider and decide matters related to financing assessment, authorised payment of any bills. So there's a bit on this time, because there's the latest updates on the Balfour Beatty bits and pieces. Then there's a clerk report on PC accounts. Be interesting to hear that. And then, so where's the schedule of bills? And I will, now if I've got a community interest, do I get Graham to run through these? Or do I run through them all apart from the last one?
I think the last one is the one that we've actually did a bit more.
So we have, shall I run through the rest of them?
Yep.
Yeah. So we have Joe's salary for April, £435.06. Telephone expenses, £4.73 and £5.76 for October through to January. Postage £1.24. John's Chartered Standing Order of 575. Eon electricity final bill reading £2.72 before we swapped over to our new supplier. I'm going to leave 9D for one moment. Rodney Bacon cricket pitch £80. D.A. Green, preparation and submission of clerk's wages £30. That's the answer to the question I had from doing the accounts. Or one of the answers. Bernie Ashby, handyman £88.20. Village Hall meetings from June till May June 2014 to May 2015, £396. Annual insurance cheque of £1,267.85. I believe it's slightly less than last
It is
year.
less than last year.
Yeah. I'm sure I was paying attention. So the one I haven't read out, which is Balfour Beatty Streetlight Maintenance Contract, 790, which is September 14 to September 15, £796.68. Now they wrote, Joe had queried the removal of PC21 on that and why they charged us for the maintenance. They've agreed to take it out of that. So they issued a credit notice, I believe, of £26.56. So they actually want to check for £770.12. So that's that one. There is, whilst we're doing that little bit, there is also the bill outstanding from Balfour Beatty for the removal of PC21, which we have been querying about the fact that although they were going to charge us for road closure, they never actually closed the road, but they came back and said they had to apply for it, blah, 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 and that we'd have to pay it. We went back and said, well, and they've come back and said, I can confirm, we've looked into this further. Unfortunately, we are not able to get a refund from Cambridgeshire County Council. Unfortunately, with the advertisement, whether to close, the closure is required or not, we are actually paying for the admin and the advertisement in the paper for the residents. I've spoken to management here, and I can confirm Balfour Beatty will be covering the cost of the closure, and we will be refunding the difference back to the parish. Please leave this with me, and I will credit against the invoice that you have received, which is very kind and generous, which is great news, but we haven't had the credit note.
Do we know, presumably it might be a big
Charge us.
And it should be quite a lot, it's over £1,000.
it might be argued that it's the admin and that all they're going to reimburse us for.
Well,
It's just a lorry turning up.
It's a bit of
Any gain is a gain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done, yeah, good.
Yeah, so
So I'm just saying I'm exercising caution.
Good work on that, Joe.
Yeah.
Being dogged and
Christmas is coming.
chasing them down.
Yes.
Although it's hardly worth your time, obviously.
So then there is item 9J.
Great. Right. Okay. This is a bill that the A14 agreed. It happened quite quickly between parish council meetings, so there's no time to request it on the parish council. It would normally have come to parish council, and it was all done for expediency in mind, and also based on the comments we had at the last village meeting, where there was a general comment made that we need to engage the services of a sound consultant. So we started the ball rolling by employing a sound consultant who came and spoke to the A14 working group for 2 hours one evening, explained what he could and couldn't do, and for that he charged us £600. That does include VAT, so the actual amount that will be required to come out of the village coffers is £500. I think there's a general sort of feeling that this isn't the way it should be done, but because of the expediency and because of the comments that had been received at a village meeting, so we felt that we were actually involved in the village, albeit a bit hurried. It was a good first step because the next step is a lot more expensive. We're into the thousands at that point, so it was rather than engaging a sound consultant for up to thousands of pounds. The £500 seemed like a good stepping point, and then based on that we can decide whether or not to go forward. So apologies for not doing it as we perhaps should have done, but retrospectively I'd like you to approve 9J, which is for £600 fully VAT, £500 ex VAT. And the reason why, as a member of the working group, I'm asking is because I wasn't at the meeting, so I didn't have any interest. I didn't vote on that at the meeting, so that's why I'm presenting it.
Okay. And this gentleman, I think as Andy already alluded, has got a history and familiarity.
Oh, he's been all over the world, yes.
He's certainly an authority.
He wrote the original report there, petitions, I think.
I guess the only point I was making, I know this has to be explained as well, but normally for that sum of money, just to tick the sort of policy box, we would normally have gone out to more than one quote.
I think you need to for that value.
It's got to be £1,000.
The next step will be more difficult.
Okay, so my error, I thought it was around £500 you really had to get competitive.
There aren't that many of them.
Which wouldn't have been appropriate anyway because of
Well, you can always put a reason, can't you, but it has to be considered.
Yeah, no, I've got
Yeah.
Will there need to be a list?
don't know until after.
That's the next sort of full brief.
Okay.
Sorry, we pass over it.
It's an option.
All vote.
I'd like to propose that.
Mr. Trevelyan.
Oh, well, I can't propose for that, no.
No, you're doing just
do this
votes.
one separately. Or
Because otherwise,
Yeah.
otherwise it's still not going to be many people voting, is it? So can we do 9J by itself?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Okay.
just over proposing 9J.
Okay.
And
So-
seconded.
And those
And
in
then those that
favour?
can vote.
74, isn't it?
Over.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Will you happy?
You proposed it.
I thought we were voting on the other one.
No, you're voting on this one.
Right.
This is 9J.
So 9J and
Yes, 9J. I can't do the other one, that's it.
No, you can't. Right, so now we'll do
I'll sit on my hands.
a proposal that the other items, which are Joe Salary, John Carter, Eon, Balfour Beatty, Rodney Maitland, D.A. Green, Bernie Ashby, Village Hall and Gaiman Company, or Cayman Company, that the Parish Council pays those bills, and I propose that we do.
I'm happy to.
Will he second it? And all those in favour? Thank you very much. That's good. 9.4 on the... So we've done 9.2 and we've done 9.3. 9.3 we're still awaiting the credit note to be able to pay the amount which...
Are we going to write back to them and thank them for doing that?
Yes, I have.
Oh, brilliant.
Bit of a pain when you're coming to do 9.4, which is Clerk's report on PC accounts.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
It is
No,
a
I-
work in progress,
I would
yes.
apologise because Joe and I met last week. We went through the accounts till quite late. I did a lot of work on it yesterday and completely forgot to bring everything down to you. So what I can tell you is that in the year to the 31st of March 2015, we will have overspent our precept because we paid £3,333.34 to Cambridge County Council for, as the first slug of the crossing, which we had voted on before, saying that it was coming out of reserves. And I just need to be able to finalise those accounts. I just need to check how we can treat the Balfour Beatty, because the invoice is dated within the last financial year, which is when the VAT element is, although we're not paying, we haven't agreed to pay that first one until today, and the other one is still up in the air. And I'm not sure if we submit our return beforehand when we lose the chance of getting that bit of VAT back, which would preclude, but so I'll be talking to a friendly ex-retired
Well,
council.
I know, but I'm not sure on what basis the account is prepared. If it's on a cash basis, then no, you don't include it. If it's on an accruals basis, then yes, you do. And I would include it as it's currently being billed
Yeah.
And then take credit for how much the credit note is in the next year.
Yeah.
But
Now, that could be the answer, couldn't it? But we've got our internal auditor and the external auditor.
generally, I take the payment as quick as you can.
Yes. Yeah, so and to be able to make sure that we don't lose the chance of getting the VAT back. So the accounts have to be submitted to Little John's by the 9th of June, about 8th of June. And we will have a full presentation at the Annual Parish Meeting on the 19th of June. May. Okay. Sorry about that. They will be presented at the meeting on the 19th of May. They will need to be agreed at the meeting of the 1st of June because that's a requirement on the return. There's a date of a minute. There you go. That will be the PC account.
At the time of the parish annual meeting, they'll be unapproved by the
Auditors.
council.
Yeah, the council.
Yes, they'll just be draft.
If you could keep a draft over, then presume that would be okay, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Right, draft. Yeah. But we have to get them out, and there is a period of time which are available for inspection. Without these two items, as they stand, they're balanced, and I think the deficit was about £1,800 or so. But there we are. So we'll have those for the parish meeting. Item 10 is councillors' articles of information only, no discussion, no decisions can be made. Right, let's go around the table. Anne?
I'm wondering whether there's some way that we can speed up our decision making.
No discussion, no decisions. Okay, no decisions.
Make suggestions then. I think you've got any suggestions?
Well, I'm really interested to see whether we can.
Sorry?
I said I'll be interested to see whether we can, and I'd like to explore what's possible.
Andrew?
No, nothing to add.
Justin?
I'd just like to inform the council that I attended as one of my actions from the previous Parish Council meeting was to go along to the Fenstanton Capability Ground 300 committee meeting on April the 15th, and we had a very good meeting, and while the only real action I took away from that was to try and get the name of the producers to see whether we needed to, whether there was going to be any filming in Hilton or not, and whether John needed to be roped in to perhaps make an area more presentable.
Can I ask, is that this year or next year?
The filming is this year,
Okay.
anniversary is next year.
Yeah.
But I've emailed them twice since that meeting for a point of contact with the producer, and I think they perhaps want simple lines of communication, so I'm sure either Ray or Nigel are going to talking to the producer, then they'll let me know rather than give out those kind of contact details. All them good. But there's some interesting action points that could follow out. Apparently the national group has received more budget than they expected, so there might be a little bit of cash sloshing around. And I know that one of the things that was discussed was whether we want some signs commemorating, a bit like when you go to Norfolk, Nelson's County, whether we want something in this area in Fenstanton to say we're going into Capability Ground Parish. But of course that costs money, so I'll be getting some contact details for that to see if there's anything else we might get with that kind of funding. But the next meeting is next week, so I will keep you appraised and updated with what's going on there. And as soon as I know anything about the production company, whether they're filming or not in Hilton, I'll let obviously John and myself.
Thank you. Great. Kieran? Nothing from you? Three things from me then. Okay. Just to let you know that at 10 AM on the 8th of May, VE Day, there will be a short ceremony at the Lichgate. Thank you for Margaret for letting us know that. That's at 10 o'clock in the morning.
It will be short.
As mentioned, the annual parish meeting is here on the 19th of May with accounts, and the date of the next parish council meeting will be Monday the 1st of June. Can't do it any earlier than the first Monday of the month, Monday the 1st of June. And on that note, thank you very much indeed for coming.